Hello and welcome to Mayhem with your host, May May.
You took your time there.
Because I forgot what I was doing. Sorry.
So this week I want to talk about intentions. Every Monday I have made it a point to go onto Facebook and talk about what my intention is for the week. I don't do this because of the coronavirus. I do it because as part of my self-care, I feel like I need to be vulnerable, not only with my family and with myself, but with the people who I know. And the easiest and best way to do this is through social media. So my whole philosophy for a long time has been, I don't care who reads it, I don't care who this affects, but I'm going to write it down because it has affected me this morning. So I have written down my intention for the week for I think 3 weeks now, and it's always nice to pause and consider and think about the weekend and think about the week ahead and what I'd like to see and what I'd like to do. And well, it's been lukewarm, but I just wanted to say that I rock at setting intentions. I really am a superstar at this. It is something that comes naturally. It's something that comes easy. The problem is what comes after I set the intention. I generally forget, and then I let the intention go. And I don't remember what I had said, and it's like if it's not in front of my face, I'm not going to remember it. I'm a self-starter, and then the slow fade to black, which means I can get started on all sorts of different projects, and I could probably finish those projects too. It's the middle that loses me. It's the middle where I lose all my momentum, all my action, everything. So the next day I start again, and then I start again, and then I start again. The book that I'm writing right now, I think I probably started it 4 times. To this day, every single day, I need to remind myself exactly what my intention is. I most recently have been working on keeping gratitude and letting that be the sole tool in my life. Eckhart Tolle had a quote that says, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it's enough. And I'm trying to use that to combat things like fear, things like anxiety, things like anger. And to be like, okay, what am I thankful for? What is something that I can be grateful for out of this situation? And it's kind of a way to temper some of those negative thoughts. But again, I forget. I get in a conflict with my daughter and I fly off the handle and my temper gets the best of me and I forget to take that space before my temper and my anger grabs a hold of me and walks away with me. I forget to be grateful to take space, to hold space. And so this is something that is a consistent battle. And I used to be so hard on myself about goals. I had a goal for a long time that I will not say negative thoughts. One of the big things that is negative is gossip. So I would think to myself, I would write it down in my journal, I would be all about it, I would be all excited about it and be like, okay, today I'm not going to be negative, today I'm going to be positive. And then I would get my kids in the car, I would get them to school, and then I would get to work. And then we would start talking, and then we would start talking about, I don't know, Kim Kardashian, or a cousin that we didn't care for, or something. And I would fail. Every single day. And then I would be so down on myself and so negative, and it would kind of destroy my entire day because I had got into that day with such good intentions. And I was disheartened, I was downtrodden. But at the end of the day, I think the intention is pure. Intention is something that you lift up above you and you reach for at all costs. But it's also really lofty, and you have to be gentle with yourself. You have to let yourself know that it's okay, that you're going to work towards this goal and work towards this intention and work towards it. But it's going to take work and it's going to take time. You can't just all of a sudden one day say, I'm not going to be negative, when you have practiced negativity in every aspect of your life for so long. It's a really, really hard thing to overcome, and it takes time. And I think I am a lot more positive now than I was a year ago. I am a lot more positive now than I was when I set that intention. But it's taken time. It hasn't been something that you can just be like, okay, I'm going to do this today and then do it. I think that that's where a lot of us feel like intentions are pointless, because you can never reach them. I don't think that's true at all. It's like going into CrossFit and being a little overweight and out of practice and not having ran or really moved your body for the past 3 years. This is what happened to me 3 years ago. I went into CrossFit. I hadn't worked out very much. We had a personal trainer that we went to, but it was like an hour twice a week, and it really didn't move me, and it didn't make me feel better. And CrossFit, if you've ever been, is super intense. It's super short, but it's like you're going to push yourself as hard as you possibly can for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. Push as hard. And for people who aren't used to it, for people who are just coming into it out of nowhere, it can be a love it or hate it, that type of thing. And you're not going to go into CrossFit knowing that you're going to be able to do a pull-up the first time you walk in the door. You're not going to go into CrossFit thinking I'm going to be able to run that full mile the first time you walk in the door. You're going to go into CrossFit saying, I'm going to push myself. And I'm going to be better this time than I was last time. And you're going to see, I'm going to see how far I can go. I might not win this challenge. I might not complete this exercise. But you know what? I'm going to get far. And I'm going to get further than I did yesterday. And that's the whole point. The whole point of it is not, yes, there are some athletes that are going to come in there and they're going to do the muscle ups and they're going to rock it out. And you're going to be like, damn. And just stare. But for you, it shouldn't be about that. It should never be about being able to do all of these things unless you have the training and the time put into it in order to achieve these goals. And that's the only way you're going to get there. So intentions are like going into CrossFit for the first time. And you have to be like, okay, it's going to be way up here. It's going to be a pull-up. Being able to go through the day and not have a negative thought or not say a negative word is going to be like my pull-up. So today, I'm going to do better than I did yesterday. But today, I'm not going to make it there. And be gentle with yourself. Because when you do fall, when you do say that negative thought, when you do fail at the pull-up, you're going to be like, damn. But it's going to be okay. And tomorrow you're going to do better. So every week I have an intention that I set for myself. And if I don't meet it, I don't meet it. But it's something that I try to keep in mind and keep in place at the forefront of my thoughts. So the book I want to talk about this week is by my favorite author. She has two names. She has a pen name and then the name that she goes, I don't even know what her real name is, but she writes fantasy books and books about fairies and all sorts of things like that. And the name that she uses to do that is Seanan McGuire. And then she has this whole other side where she writes horror books. And she writes these phenomenal science fiction books. And she is... So Seanan McGuire, I've read a few books of hers. She's okay. But when she writes as Mira Grant, I am in love. Everything she says, every word she says, every idea she puts in there. She has been the one who has pushed my ideas and my thoughts further than anybody I've ever read before. I love Mira Grant. Seanan McGuire, she's okay. But the book I want to talk about today is by Seanan McGuire. And it's called Indexing. Now, it's a book about fairy tales. And what she does is she takes these fairy tales and she puts them into real life as it is now. And then these people who are... Sorry, my daughter. So these people who are genetically dispositions for these different fairy tales, all of a sudden one day these fairy tales are going to produce. And the fairy tales are going to come to life. So if you can imagine what happens in Sleeping Beauty, right? So you have a lady who falls asleep, and her whole entire kingdom falls asleep. So, okay, she has this sleeping sickness. Who's going to fall asleep? Everybody in the hospital, everybody in her house, everybody in the town. Can you imagine what that would happen? What it would do to a police force if that manifests? So she has a whole story about this type of world, and the main character in this story is a Snow White. And like she's the queen of writing details into her books. So one of my favorite details about Snow White is when she wakes up, sometimes there are going to be birds singing in her house, talking to her, and there's going to be flowers in the floor because they just manifested themselves there because she's a fairy tale queen. And but she's, badass and hardcore. But it's a fun book to read. It really is. She wrote it originally as a serial novel. So she would release a chapter at a time on Amazon. And it's a fun read. Now it's in paperback form. So what does this have to do with intentions? Well, intentions are... What are the intentions of fairy tales? They're to teach a lesson. So when you have this whole world where all of these fairy tales manifest themselves and everything, it kind of throws their intentions on their head. It kind of throws out everything out of skew, because all of a sudden you're like, I don't want this Sleeping Beauty to meet the man of her dreams, because she's going to fall asleep, and who knows who's going to fall asleep with her, and who knows what they're going to be doing. There could be, people driving their car, and all of a sudden they're asleep and they crash your car. People could die. Snow White. Cinderella's stepsisters could hurt each other and hurt other people trying to get to that shoe that Cinderella originally was supposed to have. I mean, just the idea of these things and the intention of these fairy tales to wrap the story around the person, it kind of just throws everything askew. And that's the beauty of this book. It takes intentions, and it's just like, I understand the intention here, but what if this happens here? And it's a beautiful book. It's a fun read. It's a lot of fun. And it's just going to kind of blow your mind and take it into a different area. So, that's my book that I thought for intention. And I think that they're not for everybody. Not everybody needs something that they have to think about all the time and something that they want to attain. But I am one of those people who need that. And so my intention, I think, for the rest of my life is to put gratitude first. And so thank you for listening to my podcast. And if you want, you can share your intention with me. I'm on, Facebook and Instagram. And thank you so much for listening, and have a good day. Talk to you next week.